Butterflies and blinders, hellish shenanigans, and it's time to go. Welcome to the after discussion for OWN TV's show, All the Single Ladies, Season 1, Episode 2, Side Chicks. Let's go. What's going on, y'all? I am your host, Jamie Alexander, and we're here to talk butterflies and blinders, hellish shenanigans, and it is time to go. Welcome to the after discussion for OWN TV's hit reality. I'm going to say it. I'm calling it. It's a hit reality TV show, All the Single Ladies. This is Season 1, Episode 2, and it's titled Side Chicks. And I want you guys to stick around to the end where we talk love lessons, because this is probably the most important part of the show. When we talk about these shenanigans and boundaries and how our family set the tone and everything we learned in relationships, we've got to turn around and talk about what we learned. So I want you guys to stick around to the end for that. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're excited. I got some guests with me. So you guys know we have to do a sister chat. We've got to talk about this. All of the single ladies, you know how we get down on this site. So I'm gonna bring up my first guest. She's an incredible friend of mine, no stranger to the Jamie Alexander YouTube. Okay, let me get her up here. Creator of Surrender Sessions. Let's bring Keandra up here. Hey, girl.
Hey.
Long time no see. Let me get my life together with this. What are we doing with this layout? Here we go. Boom. Oh, my goodness. Girl, I'm at my mom's because she just moved to Arizona. So
That's
this is why.
I'm going to just go ahead and take this other earring off because.
Right, girl. Yeah.
No, we got to do.
We are getting ourselves together. So I'm so glad to see you. I love when you can get away from babykins to show up.
Me too, right? Like have an adult moment in adult conversation that is not around what is he going to eat for the day? How many times has he pooped? Did he poop? What did it look like? All the things. It's definitely like this is a nice welcome break.
Right? I have no doubt. So we do have another guest that's going to join us. She's going to come in later, and you guys remember her from last week, actress Tani Belafonte. So when she pops in, we'll bring her on in. But we're just going to go ahead and dive into this conversation because it's a lot. Okay,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Oh my God. So I wanted to start with the butterflies and blinders because this is so important. Because when I look at each of these beautiful women, Crystal, Jamila, Nicole, and Stephanie, they all had these moments where it was like, ooh, and everything's just going so good. And my heart skipped a beat and we talked for hours and it was perfect. And and it was just like all of the things that we want and we think we want and we know we want. And it seems like the right thing, but Lord have mercy, how are we getting caught up? So before we get into that, Keandra, what did you think about just the show overall, just the overall of this episode?
Whew. Well, this episode, I mean, it definitely was a lot. The shenanigans were deep and elaborate. The women were so beautiful, and I'm glad to see that they're on the other side of experiencing heartbreak in that way, because that is, it's devastating. I love, it's only the second episode, but so far I just really love the way that they have the set, layout. I think you guys kind of talked about that a little bit last week, but I love the incorporation of like the art and culture and just how everyone looks beautiful, the lighting, and we know some people that are, behind it. So we know that there's an intention, to not have us out here looking crazy, especially because the statistics and often what is put out there in the world against Black women is always so just when you read it, it can just be, disheartening and like just feeding the lack of faith and feeding just all of the, I don't know, the fear-based, type stuff and just the like, it ain't nobody good out here, child. It's just too much. But all that to say, it just seems like there's just a different intention with the show. So I'm so far really enjoying it, hearing the perspectives, being able to just, kind of go through. So I'm interested to see just how the rest of the episodes play out for sure.
Yes, I would have to agree. And so I can hear you really well, but just to let you know, your screen is really blurry.
Is it?
Yes. Are you
Oh,
seeing yourself clear?
I am.
Hi, B. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, love it. Thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. Speaking of Black women and how we do, I've gotten so many compliments on my hair, and
It
I'm
is
going through my own
good.
hair journey. For me, it's a lot to deal with. It doesn't look like it, but it is. But I just took down the braids. I don't got and I'm just waking up doing the leave-in and bouncing, and everybody's like, "Your hair," and I'm like, "Really? This whole thing?"
Yeah, no, it looks, it's good. It has good shape. And I get it. We're both on the hair journey. I'm in a protective hair journey phase because babies and in lack of time, working out, just trying to have all the things with life, and hair is the last thing I want to have to deal with. So I understand. And as great as natural hair is, it is a lot more maintenance. So I get it. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I have to prioritize working out because long gone are the days where I'm like, my edges are relaxed, I can't work out. Like, no, I'm prioritizing my health. I'm working out, so we're doing protective styles. We'll pop on a wig or we'll go natural, but to sacrifice the gym is not an option. We're sweating, we're moving. It's all of the things.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's dive right into this butterflies and blinders. I was laughing and I really felt like I had to say this, but okay, let's talk Stephanie, for example. She's the one who went to DC to visit a friend. They're in the club. She sees this man walk out the door. Her heart skips a beat. And I'm thinking to myself, with the title of this show and where this is going, I was like, yeah, your heart was having a heart attack because you need to stay away from, like, we think it's butterflies and it's beautiful. It's like, no, your nervous system is like, and we're like romanticizing our bodily functions. Completely malfunctioning. She's like, this has to be the one. Like,
yeah.
have we not all been there? Like, oh my God.
Yeah. The funny thing is, you said, and this is the one you might have to remind me too, because I watched the episode. I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday. So some of the ladies I remember, but their names. But is this the one you said was in DC?
Yeah, Stephanie, her heart skipped a beat, and her friend was like, "Girl, you can go on and talk to him. You're the only one nice enough to talk to him." And
girl,
they
I
talked
remember
for hours.
hearing her story.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember her. I remember her for sure. And it definitely is something about those DC men. So when she brought that up, it was like, "Oh, girl, I know."
Because he probably was looking fine. He was probably like, "Ooh, I think I might see
I'm
something. He
sure,
might be doing
and just,
something."
right. And just the vibe out there, like it's just a city of where you connect with people. That's just what you do. And so yeah, like I totally just had my own flashback while I was listening to her story. But back to the bodily functions and how it may not be best to trust those. It's it could definitely be like you said, that the nervous system in our own bodies kind of alerting us, because of course our bodies don't forget like certain things that we've been through, or giving us certain signals, like even if we're not always certain what it's about, like our body always holds that wisdom and always knows. But some of that I kind of feel like is a good thing, like you want to feel a little bit of that, like something happening, because that's letting you know like your chemistry is on, your juices are flowing, like some of that is I think a good indicator of chemistry in that connection, which is necessary in any kind of relationship. There has to be some sort of a energetic connection.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's fun, right? It feels so good when you see that man. I believe in love at first sight. I am a lover. I don't care how many times I get my heart broken. I'm diving back in. Like diving back
Yeah.
in head first. I don't care. Like, I'm resilient. We're doing this.
Yeah.
So I totally understand and believe in those things where it's just like, oh my God, and da-da-da. That's what makes it fun. It's what makes it juicy. But I'm also in a stage where I'm re-examining everything when it comes to dating and how we view things. And that's why I brought up the bodily functions, because it's like, is it time to reevaluate? Because there's nothing wrong with having the feels, but I need to be able to differentiate. Like, where are they coming from? What does that mean? Because if I'm in the doctor's office and my heart is skipping beats, there's a problem. So I'm just saying it's worth a little examination.
It is. It is. It's I think kind of back to like what I was saying, like maybe checking in what it's about. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it can just be that familiarity, but not necessarily meaning that that's what will come, like, so
Yeah.
it giving yourself some time to really figure out, like, what is this? What's this reaction about?
Yeah, absolutely. And even some of the other girls, I titled this segment Butterflies and Blinders because with the girl Crystal, the one who was in the light green, who had the baby, and now they're happily co-parenting, but he was the cheater with the other phone. She started the relationship saying that she let her guard down because he knew he was a friend of the family, and it was family of family. He was 10 years younger. Everybody knew each other. So she had let her guard down. So it's like, I don't believe that we should be guarded, but it's like the butterflies and the blindness. It's like, F it, I'll just jump right in. But it's also like, blinder, he knows my uncle's cousin's friend. He must be good. Like,
Right.
and that's, as much as we would love that to be an indicator of safety, we still kind of have to take the blinders off and like look at what we're really looking at.
I agree.
All of
It's
these girls started that way. Yeah.
yeah, the familiarity, even if it's
Yes.
the reconnection with, somebody from high school or whatever, like that. It's like it helps, like it definitely can help, like, kind of ease some of those initial interactions. But, yeah, it definitely isn't a reason to, like, again, just maybe taking our time.
Yeah. I struggle with the taking your time thing. And I could see again back to Crystal. She did too. Their thing, they met Thanksgiving. She flew out on Christmas. He came in March for her birthday and just never left. Then she was pregnant in April and they were engaged in June. They were married in November. It was just like boom, boom, bam. This is my guy. This is what we're doing. In my mind, the timeline sounded fine to me because if you are somebody who's ready and available, I'm under the assumption that you're looking for something that you've spent some time with and you can see it, and then you move forward, and then you move forward, then you move forward. Like, I think the succession of those movements are okay, but it's like just when all the other stuff comes in, and let me tell you, I don't have it all together or all figured out. So I'm just looking at their thing and I'm like, wow, it seemed like that they were on a really good roll. They did the marriage counseling for 3 months. They sat with her pastor. They did all the things. Yet and still.
Right?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Jamila, she went through something like that. She dated somebody in her 20s. It was a nice guy, reunited with a high school sweetheart. That was abusive. And one of my indicators with her, when I go through the butterflies and blindness, when she saw him, she thought it was Blair Underwood. And she was like, but that ain't no
Right.
celebrity
Right.
under that hat. Like, whatever. And then she was like that, she just wasn't really feeling him at first. And I even know sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're not always like, ooh, sometimes you're like, I don't know, let me see. And then it's like, oh, he's not that bad. And then Valentine's Day, and then things start rolling. So I'm just so unsure about these indicators. It's like there's both sides. Sometimes it really works and it is what it is. And sometimes all the signs were there when you look in retrospect.
Right. And I think that's the hard part, because it seems like it's always in retrospect. Because I do know only a couple of couples who had those instant butterflies and they're still together. There's the longevity, there's the health, like a healthy relationship, no shenanigans, none of that. But then there's others who have moved quickly and it was more driven by lust, and there may not have been anything else in common, um, things happen. And so then it's kind of like, well, let's just try. But then, they end up not making it either, similar to Crystal. And, it's just, it, it's one of those things where you try not to put too many parameters and, like you said, too many guards up, because then you won't live and just experience the moment and just the spontaneity and the things that you really can't control. And I think when we get too much in that, like trying to control everything, we miss out on love and just maybe it's just having fun, just experiencing the moment. Like I don't know. Like it's so much that you really just don't know until you're going through it. It's like, and I'm one of those too where I used to feel like I had all these rules. And then I feel like the last maybe 5 years or so, maybe even 7 years of my life, I feel like I just tossed all the rules out the window, because everything that we were taught, it was like, well, it ain't working for nobody anyway. So I might as well just live and do me and try to figure this thing out and do what works for me and learn to trust myself along the way. And, it's still been some ups and downs, but, there isn't anything about me tossing out the rule book. There's nothing about that I regret.
Listen, and I'm already on the same page. The rule book is gone. I'm done. That didn't serve me the way I thought it would, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't need a rule book. I'm a rebel anyways. What am I doing following rule books? What are we doing? I've never followed the rules. Why now?
Yeah, right. Right.
What's going on, SJ? Thanks for popping in. Hey.
Hi.
She says, hey, Keandra.
Hello.
Well, this is perfect to wrap up this segment, Butterflies and Blindness, with one of my favorite lovers on the planet. She has such a big heart, and we talk about this stuff all of the time. And she's probably even better than me when it comes to just going for it, just showing up, just no rule book, just be open and let's do this. So I wanted to bring actress Tani Belafonte to the screen. Let me get this together because my setup's a little different. There we go.
Hey, ladies.
Hey, girl.
Welcome.
We're doing good.
You're looking good.
So is you, girl. My
My
Libra lover.
You know it. Hopeless romantic. Oh,
yes.
We need those. We need those. Keep the love going.
Yes. Absolutely. So, Tani, just to catch you up a little bit, because we're almost wrapping this segment, but I was talking butterflies and blindness. And I was kind of talking about how Crystal let her guard down because the guy knew family, so she was cool. Jamila wasn't feeling homeboy at first and then was like, oh, he's not so bad. Stephanie's whole heart skipped a beat. And I mean, that's either healthy or happy. We're trying to figure that out. And Nicole, was another one where it was friend of a friend and she was just enthralled with the intimacy. So it's this thing where it's like the butterflies, but did we miss something? Were these things red flags, or what kind of indicators were they, and how do we be getting caught up? So that's kind of what we were talking about. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, everyone nowadays have a perception of butterflies that I feel like wasn't there 20, 30 years ago, right? It was the butterflies. It meant something. It meant, oh my gosh, I have a connection to this person. It's visceral. I can feel it in my body. We have something. We have chemistry. We have a connection. We have all these things. It means to pursue. And I still feel like that. I don't necessarily feel like butterflies is like run the other way. I feel like butterflies is a good indicator. It just means like you probably got to be a little bit more mindful of yourself and how you're receiving like information from this person, because you may be caught up and blinded by the fact that it's supposed to be because I feel this thing. But I personally don't feel like it's something that is a negator. Like it says, oh, if you feel this thing, halt, stop, don't proceed. I think it's good. I think it just means that, your body, your spirit self has maybe encountered this familiar energy in the past. Sometimes you see somebody and you have a feeling and it clicks and it works and it's that simple. I know a few married people, that's how they felt when they saw their husbands. And it's just like, so why are we bashing this butterfly thing? And I understand that we tend to allow that to dictate and kind of rule how we pursue or move through the dating process, which then allows for the blinders, which is why you have to just be a little bit more mindful when you do have those butterflies. That physical connection is there, the chemistry is there. Now you just got to be mindful that he's not a manipulator, that he's not just like trying to pull the wool over your eyes, that, all those other things aren't present, and that you're really pursuing a person and you're actually getting to know the person that is presenting themselves to you.
Well, leave it to the Libra to come on and bring that balance in. Bring in the balance, because
Right.
that's really what it is. It's balance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think the butterflies are bad. I did read something one time that it is kind of like your nervous system acting up versus but I also do believe, like I was saying before you came on, I believe in love at first sight. So I don't care. If I'm feeling, I'm going. Like, that's just how I move, and I don't regret it, but it's like, okay, the butterflies, and it's like, all right, let me see what's really going on, instead of like, oh, it's the butterflies for this, it has to be. We must be meant to be.
Exactly. What Fantasia said it in her song. I got a picture in the mirror. I start to blush. Somebody feel your pain. In my stomach, there's a pain. I want to walk the other direction. I go the other way. Fantasia, I'm sorry. I just butchered your entire verse. But when Fantasia said it, she's like, in my stomach, there's a pain. I was like, oh, you get that too? Like,
right.
Do you guys know that pain? It's not quite butterflies, but do you guys know that feeling too?
Yes.
I feel like it's almost like, I know this is kind of going a little bit off topic. I feel like it's a bit of like when they started talking about soul ties, because usually it happens after you were like sexually involved with this person, right? Like you can think of them, and then all of a sudden you get that feeling in your stomach. It's almost like a little bit of a knot. Something is like stirring and happening. You're like, oh,
this is a lot.
Keandra, have you ever felt that?
I have felt that, and it only happens though with someone who I had a relationship, and yes, for sure there was the physical intimacy there too. But it's that a little bit of that. Jamie and I touched on it just a little bit of just the familiarity, the butterfly, but the thing that happens because it's the familiarity of maybe the heartbreak or whatever happens in a previous relationship, and it almost being like a guard or like a fight or flight type of a thing. Like, okay, is this somebody I can really trust? I don't really know. Like, the feeling comes up, but I've actually just pressed past it. Because that was long time ago when I actually felt that. But I understand where Fantasia was coming from.
Yeah, mine were always associated with a positive situation. Generally, like you said, there was physical intimacy. We were in a relationship of some sorts, whether it was a situationship or whatever. And it was like, I'm just thinking about last night, or I'm thinking about this person. And then all of a sudden I get that little tightness in my stomach. I'm like, ooh. But it just felt like it was just that thing, like the soul is tied. So here you are, you're thinking about this person, and this is your body's physical reaction. Not necessarily good, not necessarily bad, but this is like your body's physical way of letting you know that you are now connected.
That's what I was getting while y'all were talking. I'm like, yeah, there's been a bond, and the body always knows, even if we don't always understand how to decipher what the body is saying. There is something so special. We focus on our spirituality and our soul and our growth and how we evolve and all of these things, but we're body and soul, and the body is always talking. So it's like knowing what that means, what's that saying, and navigating that, whether it be, like you said, maybe it's not good, maybe it's not bad, the neutrality of it. Is it fight or flight? Am I feeling this? Do I want to lean forward? Like, only in a certain way, like what that means for you and that person. And whether you know it for sure in that moment, or you have to go through some motions, it is what it is. You're bonded, you're connected, there's a tie, there's a feeling, like all of it is in the pot at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. So, really quick before I go to a second segment, well, I wanted to let you guys know that are watching. If you guys like this conversation, like the video, share it with a friend, subscribe to my channel. We are going to continue to have these conversations. And amazingly enough, we're going to have some of the women on the show chopping it up with us on here as well. So we can get it straight from the horse's mouth and have a great conversation. So, just wanted to put that out there. One thing that I did notice, and we brought it up on the last show, is how the family and the father and all of these things set the tone as well. So it's always interesting to see how that plays a part. Jamila was talking about how she was 6 years old, a 6-year-old daddy's girl, and her mom and dad fought and he walked out and didn't even look back while she's screaming daddy. Like, hello, good morning, anxious attachment issue has now been born. Because now she was talking about how she had in her brain, like, all these guys are going to leave. They're just, eventually they're going to leave. They're going to eventually discard you, you know? Crystal was saying her parents were never married, but she grew up on a lot of love and family. And she used the same term again. She didn't have to have her guard up. So then when it came to this man and he knew a friend of the family, she didn't have her guard up. So there's that tie. Nicole's parents, she didn't see affection, so she craved it. And the intimacy was off the chain with her guy. And Stephanie, her dad was lighthearted. Her stepfather was stern. So now you have all these dynamics and she's like, I'd be confused. So what do you guys think, just touching lightly on how the reflection of your parents' relationship and your family dynamic impacts the way you date and the way you choose men?
I know for me, it's for sure very real. Once I became a mom, I became even more hypersensitive to understanding how much trauma happens in childhood and like why I'm just being so much more of an intentional parent. And that's a whole nother topic. But even just with, all the ladies that are on this episode, they can all reflect back to something that happened in their childhood that literally shaped and molded basically their picker, the filter that what they're even looking for or whatever, what they're not even paying attention to, like all of it gets affected there. And for me, and I've shared this on, previous shows and have talked about it, in a lot of places. For my mother's first marriage, I didn't want to get married. It was like, if this is what it's going to be like, I'm completely good. And they were together for, I want to say 20 years or so. This was my mom's first marriage. And so this was the marriage that was pretty much throughout my formative years. My mother and my father were not married. And so they had a co-parenting relationship where I would, go and visit and hang out with him on the weekends and that side of the family. But all I know is a blended family dynamic. And from my perspective, it was always kind of exhausting, to be honest. Like there's some aspects of it that are fun, but then there was like the, having to go to all these different houses on the holidays. And, then when there's, once there is a breakup, my mother, the first marriage they did, get a divorce. And I think I was in my second year of college and, she's now.
I lost sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was me last week.
Listen, I mean, the Wi-Fi.
Was that how it was happening last week? I was just stuck like that.
No, I think hers, does she look really blurry to you?
Yeah, super blurry.
Okay, yeah, to me too. So, but she doesn't look like that on her end. So I don't know. I think she uses her computer. Back? Oh yeah, you're back. We're like,
okay.
discussing.
We're talking about you, girl.
Right.
We're talking about you.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It literally just the circles popped up, but hopefully nothing else happens. Okay.
Yeah. So you were talking about how it got really hectic visiting all the houses and then something had happened.
And then it just clicked. Okay. Yeah. I was basically just emphasizing on, during my formative years, during my mother's first marriage, and even just a lot of the relationships that were around me. For me, it just was like, yeah, if this is what marriage is about, no thanks. Like I'm better just either doing me or waiting until there's this, this ideal of perfection, which that continued to get defined and redefined over time. But I really didn't start to see more healthier relationships to where it was like, okay, maybe I'll consider marriage until I was in like my mid-20s. And that was also around the time my mother got remarried. And with my current stepfather, who I love and adore. But yeah, as a kid, no, definitely was not. And my grandparents, my grandmother, the one that I was the closest with, um, they were in a relationship, but they weren't married. So they basically had, I guess, what's considered a common law marriage because they were together for however long. And it was like, well, y'all might as well be. But, it's not, it hasn't been until my adult years, like maybe within the last 5 years or so, that I've kind of understood their own drama and why they probably never did marry. And so, it
Yeah.
definitely is a lot, but yeah, that I would say that's how it shaped my belief and just what I felt about it. And so that would, of course, then inform the type of man that I was dating and relationship with, and had to go through a whole lot before, a more healthier ideal came along.
Gosh, that is so insane. Exact. Even as I was watching these ladies, I was like, does it really have to be so much? Like, but I guess it does. And I really feel like our era, we are the turning point, right? Because it's like our grandparents did things a certain way, but we're not even in that era when it comes to the way we function as Americans in society. Then they raised our parents. So our parents were stuck with a little bit of that and a little bit of new school, and did what they could and took some of those old things. And some of them lasted with the old things and some of them didn't. Our parents are either divorced or they're still together. It either worked or it didn't. And now we're in this new age, and it's like completely different. Things are completely different than they were 12 years ago, let alone a generation. So now here we are, we're finally talking about healing, growth, therapy, generational this, where we learn, whereas before it's like, nope, this is it. This is how we do. This is where we go. It was very laid out. And now we're learning in our beautiful age. I love that all these women were 42. I love that we're here.
Right.
We don't
Yeah.
need to be 25 all the time. Girls Gone Wild. Not to say that that's
Right.
what it's all about, but I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
let's marinate a little bit in this thing. And now we're kind of seeing, we're all waking up. Like, wait, I can do this my way. Wait, I don't want to hear about the rule book. Wait, this worked, this didn't, this did. I felt like this, and I genuinely felt like this, and now I'm looking at it and really come up with an equation that makes sense for us. Not what the church wants, not what mom and daddy want, not what grandma says I should be doing. Not like that is starting to make its way out the window as we learn who we are as people. I don't even think we have really given ourselves a chance to learn who we are as individuals without being told how we should and should not be functioning. So with that kind of being the root of things, it's really amazing to kind of see us kind of be that turning point and move on, because maybe the next generation, maybe it won't be all this 12 heartbreaks, kids, and I don't know. And maybe they'll just be able to be cool with this is how I'm doing it. I saw some kids online the other day and they were cute. I don't remember exactly what they said, but they were just like, yeah, we're together and we're not dating anyone else. And we're doing this. And they just looked so happy and fun. And they were defining their relationship for themselves. And I'm happy for them. It's none of my business what they're doing. It seems to work. And they were grinning ear to ear and seemed to have what they had together. Cool. Maybe that's what it's about. I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah, I think we're definitely, like you say, take the meat, chew the meat, spit out the bones. What is it? But
Yeah, eat the
like
meat, spit out the
we're
bones, yeah.
literally just picking up the pieces. I think that is so true, because we're also learning. The veil is being taken off of so much. What we thought was just so wholesome and so pure. The veil is being lifted off, and it's like, oh, that was a mess and shenanigans too. It just, there may have been a bit more modesty and a different type of privacy, but our grandparents were not perfect and had a lot of stuff going on too, so they're not necessarily the models either, the model relationship. And then we can understand just from society and the racial things, just all the different things that impact what that family dynamic is like, the relationships like it. We can just see it from a different perspective, and so there is something to say about these early 40s that really does bring in just so many things. Like it's there isn't just one. It's not a cookie cutter thing. The rules completely throw it away. We're just starting from scratch and trying to basically we're figuring it out and just rewriting all of this as we go along. And it's exciting and scary, and it's a mess all at the same time too. So
Yeah.
so also just letting it be like, it's messy. We don't know what we're doing. Nobody did. We thought they did, but no one did. So here we are.
Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah,
Tanya,
luckily I'm still in my 30s, so I got time to figure it out.
yeah, I'm in my late 20s, so I know it's just.
He's 26 still. Keandra, you on that island by yourself?
I'm on, okay. I'll hold it down. I'll hold,
Hold it down till we get there.
Right. No, I'm playing. I'm a proud 40. It is what it is, I earned these years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the things. Well, this should be some fun. Let's jump into these hellish shenanigans because I can't say gentlemen, these males had some audacity. There's a lot of audacity here.
Yeah.
I told you, girl, it was a mess.
And you know what's so messed up about it? Is I know too many people with the same story.
Hello.
These stories ain't new.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, you haven't even posed the question. I'll wait till you pose the question.
No. Go ahead. We talking about it. Go on.
I just feel like when I watched the show, I did not see how any of these women would have known. Like, I was paying attention to the glaring signals, like we talked about earlier, the red flags, like, was he going absent or missing for you can't reach him? Like, these men were present every day, every night, holidays, birthdays, taking you places, being there, showing up. Like, how in the heck did these men have a whole nother life? I was just dumbfounded because I did not feel like any of those women were, one young lady, the guy told her he didn't want her, but she pushed it anyway. Was that this week or was
that was Stephanie?
That was
Stephanie.
Week, right?
Yeah, they had 3 years of bliss. Everybody thought they were going to get married. He was saying something about moving. I know we talked about it. Then he pretended to get down on the knee and was like, "Psych, I ain't ready for this."
That may have been the flag. Her, Stephanie, yeah. But the other young lady, I'm thinking this might have been the week before. The light skin with the long hair. I think she was wearing a pink or red outfit, and she said how the guy she did. I think this was last week. She said
that might have been Casey from last week.
Okay, so it was the following week before, but
still,
even this situation, there was a lady who, like, even the one that was a friend. They were friends, and she got pregnant. She was wearing the braids. I think her name was Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, these men were showing up for them. They were present in their lives. She said they were together all the time, building, planning, doing so at this point, men really just need to evolve. It's no longer what the woman needs to do when she's not doing what she needs to see or realize. Men just need to do better, because at some point in your life, you're here to evolve. We're here as human beings. We come to this planet to evolve beyond our flesh, beyond what is normal for us or easy. It's easy to be negative. It's hard to be positive. You want to evolve to a place of positivity, nirvana, right? Like, that's what that whole journey is about. Things that, we can sleep with anybody, but we want to make sure we don't sleep with just anybody, because energy is being exchanged. So you got to level up. You have to mature. You got to know and say, okay, this has to be done under a certain confine. Men are just running with it's a man thing. I'm a man. This is how I am. This is how I was made, and this is how I was created. And if that's the case, you would have been an animal. Like, you know what I mean? And even they evolve. And even if they don't evolve past what their nature is, They're animals. They're supposed to remain the same. We as humans are supposed to challenge ourselves, be better, rise higher. So, men, it is time. It is time. The world is falling apart. It's melting without you. This is a call to action. Why aren't more men interested in being the oddball or being unique or being different or setting their own pace and going down their own path? Why is every man just so casual and lackluster and cavalier to just be a man? It's just how I am. It's just the way it is. And honestly, I feel as though if men were supposed to have multiple relationships. Now, I'm not saying that polygamy and polygyny and all that stuff can't work for some people. Everybody has their own thing, and whatever works for you works for you. But I feel like if it was on the mass scale, and I do believe even back in the day before, people say, oh, the patriarchy in the government created marriage and so that they can control the people, blah, blah. Okay. Even before then, the guys that we were created under was one man, one woman, right? Both family. Obviously, we're saying, oh, how did they create a legacy from there on if there was only one? But we don't know, right? But there's some things we just don't know the answers to. However, I don't think women would have been. I think women would be more innately willing to share a man if that's innately what we are supposed to do. So if the man is supposed to be out here just doing whatever he wants to do and sowing all the seeds he wants, women in the counterpart of that would be like, okay, yeah, sure. I'm going to have him Monday to Wednesday. He's going to be with homegirl Thursday to Friday. He may not come back next week because he got Shelly, and then he'll be back. We would be okay with that. But the fact that our spirit fights that, our spirit wants the unity, the one-on-one. The fact that that is who we are innately lets me know that one of us is not doing something that we're supposed to be doing. And I feel, because they do say women are higher, we have a higher conscious mind, our intuition and all those things. So that would make us like closer to God in that way, or higher in the spiritual realm. So men, you should rise to that. And that's all we are ever trying to do with these men, right? You don't ever meet a good woman who wants you to stay where you are, who never challenges you to be better or do better or try harder, be more ambitious. You never meet a good woman like that. Generally, women are like, oh, so you gonna go for that promotion, or do you like where you are right now, or whatever it is. Like, let's introduce whatever it is that you may need to introduce to him. You're always trying to find a way to just improve his life. So I feel like we as people, as Black people, and then as a society as a whole, would be further along. Things would be so much better altogether if men would just focus their energy. Just focus. You guys are not capable of doing the most.
They're not. They're not. They're really not, Tani. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Wholeheartedly agree. And we've said that, talked about it before. There's such a lack of accountability amongst men.
I'm surprised they were able to get away with what they were able to get away with, because usually men are not that savvy. They're not that good, especially for years at a time.
But did they get away with it? Like,
they did up until a certain point, and it's like, where were the women? That's the thing I kept asking myself. Were the women missing something? Were they not seeing something? Were they in denial about something else? Or was homie literally living at your house and then going and living at her house, didn't have a job altogether? So his whole job was just being a man. Like, I'm going to live under your roof, get what you're going to give me, and give you some good dick. DIC, eggplant, K. Sorry.
Right.
And then
we grown. This is not for kids.
Grown, right? Yeah. And then, going to the other girl's house and doing the same thing. It's just time. Men just need to take the responsibility. Take it on the chin, homie. Those days are over. It's time to evolve. It's time to grow. Women, we have done as much as we can. We're doing the work constantly. It is time for men to step in.
Completely.
I'm not mad at that.
At all.
And one of the things go ahead, Kim.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I think I had said it, but I couldn't tell if my internet was going slow or not, but I was just speaking to add on to that, Tani, is just this lack of accountability that exists amongst men. Like, it's like, when your other homie, your best friend, your brother, your cousin, whatever, you know, when they are out here cheating, when they out here not doing what they need to do by their family, not doing right by themselves, and you not saying nothing either. You know what I mean? Like I've had my girlfriends check me, you know, in particular levels if I'm not rising to the occasion, whether it's, you know, not stepping up for, you know, with being honest, and not even just in the relationship dynamic, but just with my own growth and personal, you know, evolution and things that I'm aspiring to. So it is just a really sad situation that so many men can just be out here doing just dirty, and ain't no other man checking them. But you know, but it's like you basically just like, ah, yeah, like he doing whatever. So it's like, oh, you just shrug that off. Like, how? That's, it's not cute. It's not cute.
It's
It's
not
really
cute.
sad.
Yeah,
And
It's
you know,
it's
actually
sad.
sad because,
you
to be honest, 3 out of 4, I'm glad one of the girls got a man, but they're like, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm dating. I'm like, we're gonna be okay. I saw a study on Twitter where they had 10 little boys and 10 little girls living in a house, and they let them run loose to see what would happen. Them boys ate nothing but sugar, tore up the house, they was fighting, it was chaotic. I mean, it made no sense. Then the girls, it's like, let's have a fashion show, assign her to cook, they'll assign to clean. Somebody was sad, oh, why is Shelly, why is Shelly sad? Why is it like, they were organized, they were community oriented, the house was together, they ate things, but they could, like, the way they, so it's like, they need us, we need them, but they need us. So it's like, let's stop doing this thing that we're doing. And one of the things that you said, Tani, that was on my mind was, why aren't they interested? This only benefits you, your growth, your evolution, your legacy. I know you want to go out there and get it, but everything multiplies. We are the multiplier. You can't take that away. Like, you brought it to nature. This is nature. You give us an egg, we make you a baby. You give us a place, we make it a home. You give us ingredients, we make a meal. Not to say you can't cook, but you can't make no baby. So we can just leave it right there. Because some guys, you know, they like to get on the internet these days. I even dated somebody, well, I can cook on my own. Okay, funny, but you link with me, you're getting compliments from people who've known you forever that you're just looking so good and healthy. Where do you think that's coming from? That is an essence. Why do you think you're winning right now? Why do you think you think you got that promotion or that? And I should never have to be like, oh, well, this happened because of me. No, it's my essence. It's my multiplier. It is my light. It is what I have. That it was for us all along. So where's your desire to really get it right? Because I know y'all and I know me, and we fight, we work, we grow, we read, we pray, we meditate, we try, we think, we cry. We're on our face, we're talking, we're therapy, we're books,
we're fasting. Yeah. Yeah.
And yet and still, we all sit here with so many questions and feeling uncovered and so yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave it where Tani left it. Like, I titled the beginning Butterflies and Blinders because this is where we're getting caught up. But when are they gonna meet us somewhere? Meet me. And if you're not doing the things I'm doing, it's going to be really hard for you to meet me because I'm going like this. I'm doing my life because we only get one. Hiding phones, and I think, Keandra, you said it, it's one thing to do it, but they're doing dirty. Like, y'all are cold-blooded with it. Like, that's
dirty.
Yeah. That's what's
dirty.
Not gonna work.
Dirty.
You know what I'm saying?
And you know, if you ask, and here's like a barometer tester for men kind of thing. Like, if you are asked by a woman, because I've had several guy friends and I ask about their friends. And if a woman asks you, do you have any friends that you can, hook me up with? And your answer without the blink of an eye is no. And it's been no since you was 25 and you 45 and it's still no.
Yeah. And it's like, why is that okay for you? You know what I mean? Like, to hang out and to call.
Be associated with that type of, that caliber of a man. And you got to recognize the people that are around you. Men are not growing. They're not, well, we're not generalizing, but we're just saying for the sake of conversation, they're not growing in the way they need to do it, in the expeditious way they need to. You should be able to, as a guy, if you have 5 friends and they're not married or taken, you should be able to say, yeah, you know what, I got 1 or 2 friends I can like roll your way. If you can't say that and you haven't been able to say that for 20 years, there's an issue. And that's all men's circle. Like there's so many men's circle you can go to and you can ask and none of them can say, I wouldn't hook you up with any of my friends. I wouldn't.
And it's like, my dad says this, and I feel like he's writing a book about it, but he talks about when good men do nothing. Like y'all sitting there with your mouth closed, y'all sitting there, like we cannot lead men. Males get annoyed because the way we're saying what we're saying sounds like, well, you're bashing. And I see so many brothers, even we get what you go through in this country because we're women and we go through so we get all of that. But to be like, nobody ever thinks about men and our feelings. We're just utility and we're this and we're that. It's a farce because we've been here laid out and open, ready, and available, and pushing out children and cooking meals and speaking life into your So it's just time. It's really a responsibility for good men. I love the what's his name that I'm trying to think of? Girl, Keandra, help me out. Who's the one married to? Who did the Esther Surrender Sessions? Why can't I think of his name right now?
Oh, Dondre.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. People like Dondre Whitfield. He is a husband. He's a father. He's an actor. He's a worker. He's a man. And he's an ex, whatever you want to call his old days when he used to play around. So he gets it. He speaks. He uses his platform to be like, yo, bro, come on. It's a responsibility. Y'all, good men have to step up. You can't say nothing no more because we're dying, so to speak. Like things are really headed in a strange direction, and it shouldn't be this slim of pickings or all on the women to, So I'm going to go to a question in the chat or a share in the chat.
Real quick, though, because I know this is going to take us somewhere. It's also like really important that men just like, dang it, I really just forgot what I was about to say.
No, I hate when that happens.
This is what I was going to say. I was in the mirror the other day and I was thinking about that same thing, Jamie. It's a lot of responsibility on men. They have all these things that they are responsible to do, right? To carry society in a way on their shoulders. And we are there to be that resting place for them, right?
Don't y'all need some help?
Right. We're there to be that resting place. But you know what? On this, sometimes you're just dealt the hand you're dealt, and you just have to play the cards. As a born man, that is just your born responsibility. That is literally what men should be saying to their sons or mothers to their sons. Listen, you're born a male. You have certain responsibilities in this lifetime as a man. You have certain duties, and not all the time will it feel fair, F-A-I-R. Will it feel okay? Will it not feel lonely? Will you not be scared? But this is your duty. This is what you were called in the spirit world onto this planet Earth in the physical form to be as a man, which means you're a leader. No, there's no lion out here running around like he's a camel or a monkey.
Right.
He's a lion. He
was
born to be a lion. So men really need to just get back to the basics of, I don't like the way this is or that is, but hey, my responsibility is of a man.
But men, because you brought mothers should tell their men. Men and fathers need to tell these men because they talk to them different. Take it on the chin, home. Like my friends with sons, they got to thug out on them boys because the father isn't as around or in the household, but they got to loke up a little bit to be like, I need you to hear me. I will punch you in your chest right now. Like, it's different. I need to be at home cooking and taking care of my baby boy. It's these men that need to let's go, start, write a passage, snatch them up. They talked about how on the Karate Kid, Jada was feeling some kind of way, the way they were putting her little boy Jaden through all of this stuff. He crying and hungry and did it. I don't care. His father's like, and you need to work. You need to do this. I'll die on a treadmill. So are you. This is what we do. Thug out these boys like the way they're supposed, like we can't do that as women. Even my language is off. No little boy is going to listen to me say this. They need to hear that bass in their voice, the hair on the face, and see a reflection of their future selves. And these men snatching them up and making them tough.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We're coming from a coddling place. Tell your mom, you need to be this. No, I'm going to love you. I'm going to show you there will always be a soft place to land and that your dad takes care of us. He takes care of me. He takes care of things, and I will cook. I will cook, because that's when they will learn how to pick a woman that can be a woman, and then want to be the father and the husband that their fathers were. But to just all these single moms out here trying to tell these boys, I'm sorry, but they're messing it up, because a woman is not supposed to raise these boys by themselves. And
They're
when
not,
I'm
but
looking
what
at
are
the
they gonna
guys,
do
no,
if they
I
have to
don't,
do
but that's
it?
what I'm saying. That's not this is like, you started with this. It's the men. The men have got to
Yeah,
really go
they
all
gotta be
out.
home. Yeah,
Y'all
they
got to
gotta
go all
start
out.
staying home.
And men learn through observation. So, you know,
Mhm.
we're the more talk it out species, and you know, the way that we're wired, we process and learn through language. Men are definitely much more of through observation, you know, through
Mhm.
seeing it and observing it and absorbing it that way. And so
Mhm.
it is completely on them. And I've, you know, even back when I was doing, you know, more of the surrender sessions, there would be, you know, men that would say, you know, gosh, when are you going to throw something like
When are
this
you going
for
to do
us? When are you
something
going to do
for
this for us?
us?
And I remember there was a moment where I felt like, gosh, and, you know, and Jamie and I, we would just rack our brains like, what would you do? And Jamie has, you know, she started the platform with King Speak, and, you know, having that. But I've really realized, you know what, it ain't shit I can do. This is y'all's job and y'all's work. And I think we've been, just as women, we've been conditioned, and because we love our sons and do the coddling and then raise our daughters to be strong. And it's like, nope, it needs to be reversed. Like, y'all need to step up and help save each other, because we're doing our work. We're creating the circles, we're getting in healing and fasting and doing what it is that we need to do for each other and lifting each other up. Y'all are capable of doing the same. And you guys see each other out here, you know, falling apart, losing, because every single one of those men, you know, that these women were talking about in this episode, they lost. They
They
lost something
lost.
big. Like, it is
They
not,
lost.
you know what I mean? Like, not just in the woman, but even just financially, and what it does to their spirits. Like, I know men are starting to talk about that a bit more and being more vocal about, you know, their own emotional breakdown. And but, you know, we're seeing it, like, a lot more men are starting, you know, we're seeing more of the suicides, and we're seeing more of the mental health crises. We're seeing the anger, the rage, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, y'all got some stuff to do, but it's on y'all. It cannot be Black women saving the world and us figuring out your shit for you. Because we up here trying to do it for ourselves and for our kids, which is what we're supposed to do. But y'all aren't kids, you're men. And so y'all go ahead and figure that out.
And
Woo!
they're going to
It's on
benefit,
you.
right? Because when we
Yeah.
work on ourselves and we become better women for ourselves, we are then better women for them. So they're still going to benefit from the work that we do.
Yeah. And one of the statistics they brought up, about 7 million men are absent dads of their minor children, according to the US Census Bureau. And that's just kind of like, yeah, these dudes, you got 2 women pregnant at the same time. That was Jamila's story. She's pregnant and some other girl is pregnant. Then you got Crystal, who just had a baby. Homeboy, you had everything. And you had to be on Snapchat and this and that. Like, you that thirsty. Now you lost your wife and you're co-parenting from a different state. That is a fail, bruh. Nicole, this dude was all over the place, didn't even have a job, so I don't even really want to talk about him. And then Stephanie, he just and then Stephanie, you know, her guy doesn't have it together either. So it's just it's sad. It's got to be, they're committing to, well, I don't want to say that because I don't want to be insensitive, but it's like the suicide, the frustration, the anger, they're all justifiable. Because we do the work, we know how hard it is to get out of the stuff that causes those reactions and that energy in us. But you got to do the same thing. And it's not getting lost in coochie. It's not getting lost on social media and getting so comfortable. Because they also mentioned more than half of cheaters use social media platforms to contact their lovers, according to the health site. And it's just like, y'all are distracting yourself. We know the difference now. Yeah. So it's what alcoholics do. It's what drug addicts do. It's like, you've got these things going on. Okay. But how do you get to the root of those things? Y'all are masking it with sex and distractions and women and kicking it and drinks and I'm gonna do what I want. But you go home sad and you have no woman and you have nobody to love you and you have no, you know, so it's just like, it is definitely a we thing. We meaning you do your work, I do mine, and let's come together. Like, meet me where I'm at, because we're willing, you know. It was the
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah, Keandra, these guys, when are you gonna do something for us? And it's like,
Yeah. And I'm all for the support, right? Like I'm all for like,
yeah,
hey, you start your thing and do it, and then I can maybe come in and support.
yeah.
But to start, figure it out, create the
I'm
no.
Well,
tired.
The
And
listen,
wife
it
and he
depends on the
believes.
season. It depends on the weather, whether they tell us date a man that has potential. Don't date a man because he has potential. Date a man because he's already there. Oh, you're not going to meet him when he's already there. You gotta go with him on the journey. You try to go with him on the journey. Then in the journey, he don't feel capable or adequate enough to take you along on the journey. It's like tomatoes.
Right.
boo. It's too much, and it's just women's heads are like,
Right. Fitting.
she dated a guy 10 years older. She dated a dude 10 years younger. It ain't older. It ain't younger. It ain't.
Yeah.
It's just.
It ain't familiarity. It ain't if your father or your parents are around. It ain't.
It's not the stranger. It's not the family friend.
No. It ain't the pastor. It ain't the one giving scriptures. That was the last episode, right? It ain't none of that.
Oh, girl had a pastor.
Yo, it ain't even the pastor, child. Like, it ain't even the pastor.
Not even the pastor could get it right. Lord.
Listen, so we just out here. We out here, y'all. I definitely wanted to get to some comments because I know that it's kind of what you said, Tawny. So Tawny, hey Tawny, she said, thank you guys for all your help in helping us rise higher. I got this text from Ken, the guy I'm dating today. I love you, Tawny, but I'm afraid I'm not good enough for you. Is this what I really want to hear? Hashtag confused.
How did it
And
get
Tawny,
there?
yeah,
How
that's
did it
what.
get there?
Why are you not? I have always thought that a guy would be like, "Ooh, she's amazing. Let me do better." And I feel like a ding dong because I'm not seeing any of that. I feel like I live in a delusional world for thinking a guy wants to. If you're seeing an expanded version of me, and you see your life going somewhere, that you gonna expand. Like I'm going to do what it takes to get on this level so I can be there for her because I see her and I see almost like not necessarily a hero, but kind of like,
And she
I thought
sees
y'all wanted to
you.
puff your chest up. Like,
And she sees you too.
of course, every time. Every
So it's
time.
like if I
We're
pick
here
you,
for it.
if I pick
If I
you, you're
pick
good
you,
enough.
if I picked you, you're good enough. But so for Tawny, my ex-fiance said the same thing to me, and he was right. If a guy is telling you he don't feel like he's good enough, he's
Believe
right.
him. Yep, he's not.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
We don't want
that
to.
is that is
Yeah.
the out. Whenever a guy gives you an out, you got to take it.
Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
says anything that negates whether you guys are supposed to see each other later, and he says something like, "Oh, I wanted to see you, or I want to see you later, but I mean, if you want to, that's an out. Take it. He doesn't really want to see you. He doesn't have the money or whatever. It's reschedule. If he says, I don't think that I'm good enough for you,
He means that.
it's unfortunate.
I'm sorry,
It's like,
I can't.
and then it's like, why? What transpired in order for the conversation to have gotten to this place? Were you not being authentic?
And we're already
when
at
you
I
showed
love
up?
we're at I love yous, and this is what you tell me? We already here?
So that means, have you been living, like, have you not been authentic in the way you've been showing up, and now it's getting too heavy for you to continue this lie?
No, some guys really be like, I thought I could do it. So many guys have been, I thought I could do it. I thought I could, but now I'm seeing. And it's like,
Are the
so she
demands
put,
that we have for them too much?
but I don't know if it's demands, and I don't want to speak for men, but I think they can really see. And it goes back to what you said, Tawny, if they're not interested in doing what they need to do to keep rising higher and evolving, then absolutely. Because Tawny, she's been evolving quick. She was at one place and now she's gunning for her good life. And it just starts to look real. You go from looking like a base. Can I do Beyonce? I'm no billionaire. I'm not this. I'm not that. I think it's just I think they just know what they are and are not capable of, and I think they get scared. And again, I don't want to speak for men. It's a little bit of what I've heard men say to me, because I get it all the time, like, you're too good for me, I don't think I'm good enough for you. And it's frustrating because it's like, but I just want to be loved. Like, but at the same time, if you go and play around, or you think you're a cheater, or you're not going to pull up, or you want to be broke, or any of this stuff, then you're probably right, because I'm not going to be able to do that. So if that's too much for you, then I'll just stay by myself, like I've been doing.
Or
You know what I
maybe
mean?
like slow it down. Maybe it's a matter, maybe this is a juncture where it's like, it doesn't have to mean let it go, because clearly you both are in love, Tawny. Maybe it's a matter of just slowing things down. Maybe he feels like it's moving too quickly. He's getting nervous. He's getting scared. It's getting realer by the minute. You are showing up as the woman he's probably dreamed and desired. And now it's like happening. And now he's just like, men just, I mean, it happens to me too. It happens to women. We meet a guy.
Like, let him catch up with himself. Yeah.
Oh, snap. He really is. But yeah, maybe exactly, Jamie. Let him catch up with himself. Maybe it's just a matter of like, whatever. If you're seeing him 5 times a week, maybe take it down to 3. Maybe just let him kind of feel a little less pressure, and then allow him to kind of come back to the relationship, so that way you can protect yourself and your feelings and your heart, as well as like still remain open, because it's not like you need to shut down and shut off. But in order for you to be able to continue to feel safe, you need him to know that he's here for a reason as well. Like, you need him to be sure why he's here. And if he's getting like, if he's second guessing it, just take it down a couple notches. Whatever you're doing now, just do a little less. You guys can still be together. You can still evolve. You can still continue the journey, and maybe keep your eye out, because maybe this is one of those flags. Maybe it's not. We don't know. But maybe now you start to keep your eye out for some things a little bit more. Get really intuitive. Make sure you're not discounting your feelings. If you're getting any type of intuitive direction, take it. Listen to yourself. Trust yourself more. And then see how he then responds, because you backing up may allow him to lean in more,
It's definitely it could be a weird kind of dance, but this is also a side message to women that, I feel like a lot of women get caught up in feeling like they're not good enough if their dating life isn't going a certain way. So I can definitely see the confusion. It's like, wait a minute. Like, I was even wondering if I could do this thing at all. Now here I am. I opened, I showed, I was vulnerable, I was available. Now you're like rejecting me, so to speak. It's like, that is confusing. But it also goes to show it doesn't have anything to do with you. Like, this isn't a personal thing. This is, everybody has their own stuff. So I just want to put that out there for women and esteem. And
yeah, I think it's important too. I mean, I definitely don't know all of Tawny's all the backstory, with the relationship, but I do think that it's what you were saying, Jamie, about not taking everything personally. Because if anything, I think, especially if this is a relationship that has come after a long season of, singleness and, someone finally showing up, I think sometimes we can take the current space or whatever, or just that experience, and see that it shows that the possibility is there, and that you can attract someone into your life without sacrificing what it is that that you really want and what you deserve. And, it sounds like, of course, I don't know all the backstory again, but if he's saying that he does not feel that he's good enough, it's one of those things where you believe him. There's nothing else that you have to do to force, to show, to prove, to strive, to perform, to change his behavior, because none of that has anything to do, with you. And of course, it's not what you want to hear, because I can tell, you like him and love him and want this to be something and saw some longevity. But I think we do ourselves a disservice when we don't believe what's at face value. And, then that's when it's the blinders that comes up, right? Because it's like, it's not even so much about it being a red flag. It's just, we can't do other people's work for them. The personal evolution, the growth, we all have our own lanes. And sometimes, you hope that you can stay parallel with the person that you're in relationship with. And there are times when one person may take off and the other person may still be stagnant. And there really is nothing that we can do to force, to influence, or whatever we think we can influence. And if it does influence, that isn't something that we control, if that makes sense. So I think it's one of those things where it's like you might just have to take that what he's saying
Yeah.
as like
And
just
be okay
believing
with
it
it.
and being okay with it. And maybe the relationship changes. Maybe you're stepping back into more of a friendship and then opening and availing yourself to dating other people when you're ready, but yeah, that's basically just kind of my thoughts of, and I know I'm also maybe not giving the most unbiased opinion. um
Yeah.
there's there's no right or wrong, but at the same time it's something where if he's saying that's how he feels about himself, his own worthiness as it matches with you, that you can't change that perspective for him.
And then we have to think about, what does that mean for you? How did you feel when you heard that? How do you feel about, like, a lot of the times too, I can say this, Tani can say that, Keandra can say this, Gus can say, hey Gus, thanks for joining us. Like, everybody can say all these things, but at the end of the day, you have to know how you feel. How does it make your tummy feel? How does it make your emotions feel? What does it make your mind do? Like, only you know how to move. It's, for me, what I've learned, it's just, have I been bold enough to make those moves when I've heard them? I've a lot of times tried to rationalize, tried to cover up, try to manipulate things like clay and make it this, make it that. But if I leave my mind out of it and kind of just go with my heart, which is what I'm really trying to do more of these days, my heart always knows what to do, because my heart is always acting from love. And I'm not saying this is what it is, but love might say, oh, they might like, if you think, why do you think that? Why do you feel that way? What's making you think what, inquire more about why he feels like this. And maybe there's a meet in the middle, but when you approach it with love, like just genuine, like, this isn't about me, this isn't about my confusion, this isn't about if we stay together or not, this isn't about any of that. Love is like, okay, well, what, almost like you would do a child. If a child's like, oh, it hurt myself, you're not going to be like going crazy off of it and like, why are they always hurting this? You're gonna be like, well, what's wrong? What did you do? Did you trip? Was your shoe untied? Was, like, you know what I mean? So if all else fails, just try to follow your heart without the mind trying to deduce and because I just think that's too much. I think generally we always know what to do. We know pretty quickly, but we're kind of conditioned to society and marriage and my age and should I not? And did he say, and how do you feel? None of us can tell you that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gus was saying in here, actually, I'm going to go back. He was making fun of me because I was talking about Will Smith and Jada. I know. I was just using the analogy with the kids. Like, women don't want to see children just go through things that are hard, but men are like, nah, let's go. Rites of passage. It's very animalistic. No, not animalistic. Rites of passage. Isn't that a man thing? Gus said, I think it's hard to compare a human and a lion. The way humans are evolving as opposed to animals is through different circumstances. I think the pressure of telling a man he is supposed to be something is what's causing this problem. Evolution is happening and people don't fit certain bills anymore because they have the ability to walk in their authenticity, whatever that might be. Old paradigms are falling, so therefore having that expectation isn't fair for anyone. I think it's finding the person that's right for you by doing the work on yourself and showing up at your best as your best self and moving from there. All of this, I feel, from the past is reason why men are not up to your standards right now. If you want to try to compare it to men that are older, I guarantee you are not going to be fulfilled in the emotional space of what you learn foreign desire as a human being. I definitely I understand. Did anybody have any thoughts through what I just read?
I got a lot of thoughts.
Go for it. I'm looking at
what he just said in his response is exactly what we were just talking about. Why are you not assuming responsibility? you're a man. Me comparing a man to a lion is I think it's a pretty decent analogy. A lion is a lion. They have certain responsibilities as a lion. A man is a man. He has certain responsibilities as a man. We didn't make it up. I didn't make it up. This is just what it is. Men are physically stronger than women. Women are capable as men are, but we have different capacities. We have different capabilities. And where I may be able to do what you can do it better, or you can do it more efficiently or more effectively. Whereas I can do certain things that you can't. So it's not about me having higher standards or having expectations of a person that are like unfair or unachievable. It's just a matter of, I think the fact that we stopped having labels is what has put us in a tizzy. The fact that men don't realize, as a man, I have a duty. I was born this way. This is just what it is. There's no escaping that. Now, whether you are able to rise to a 10 as a man, or you're able to rise to only to a 7, that is for you and you only to find out. And you can find a woman who's going to be happy with you having the 7 capabilities of a man. And there's another woman who needs her man on a 10, because guess what? She's got the 7. So it's not about having standards. It's just about, listen, these are your innate responsibilities. This is what you were born into. If you was born into royalty, you would be a part of the kingdom. You would have certain responsibilities. This is just what it is. Take the responsibility, take the opportunity to grow, take the opportunity to evolve, and say, you know what? Why are women singing the same song? And yes, we wouldn't have gotten the same emotional emotional level of love, or that emotional space from our back in the day grandparents, like we just spoke about, because they were in a different time. After not that our lives started at slavery, but through slavery and after that, things were different because society was different. We didn't probably show a lot of affection, grandparents back then, because why? When they were in that period, they couldn't show affection to each other. They couldn't let the master know that they were in a relationship. So guess what? It ended up trickling down DNA wise to how they started to show affection or not show affection in the household. We now have evolved to know better, so we can do better. Like, we don't have to stay in these limited scopes anymore. But if what I'm saying by comparing a man to a lion is, triggers you to see us having, or me having, a high standard, then we are doomed. Because I don't know exactly how the saying goes, but it says something like, strong men create, or tough times create tough men, and then tough men creates easier times, and easier times create soft men. Something like that. I don't know. Are you ladies familiar with that saying?
It's something like that.
It's something of the sorts, right? And so
Yeah.
Right now, because we've had things become so easy for us, we can push a button on a microwave to cook or heat up our foods. Things are just at our fingertips. We have weakened. Throw us in the wilderness and tell us to survive for a night, and we're going to have some issues. So all we're saying is that don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Keep some of those foundational paradigms in place. They don't all need to fall away. Some of the structure needs to be there. The foundation needs to remain. And it's because the foundation is rickety right now. People are pulling up cornerstones that they're not supposed to. We're starting to get all this chaos. Listen, don't be offended, men. I'm on your side. All we're asking you to do is to evolve.
I mean, I completely understand. I'm a very nuanced thinker. So I get where he's coming from with the sense that all of the expectation is causing this and that, because expectation, there has to be, I don't want to say it's both. Because I was kind of raised that way. My dad was like, rules, this, and my mom was like, glitter, fun, cheerleading, but it was both that made me who I am. I know I got to get up. I know I got to work. I know I got to do this. I know I have to show up. My dad always taught me, like, it's like to build character. These things have to be what they are, but you can have fun and be loose too. But those pillars have to be there. I definitely think it is okay for men to evolve and want to evolve. And I happen to know Gus personally, and he's very evolved. So it's like, he can think, he can be emotionally intelligent, he can do this and, all of these things. But when it comes to, like you said, you're talking about things are so much easier now and they're not so hard. And so it's like, where's the work being put in? Like, we know that guys are not putting in the work when it comes to the soul stuff, and it looks different. It's not your grandfather. I can't tell my kids I love him and all this. Like, when we were doing King's Speak, there were so many men that was like, I didn't hear my mom tell me she loved me until I was 25 years old. Like, we're not there anymore. We've unearthed so much. And I just think it's time to, like, you know, I'm with you. Let me see. Oh, Gus said, no triggers here. Living up to a lion is not hard. A human trying to walk as a lion would be easier. Sounds like you have a certain lens of what you perceive things. So you heard me from that space. I understand. Let me see. What else do I got here? Yeah, I mean, it's just, it could be tough or it could be simple. But when we're looking at this show and these dudes are doing what they're doing, it's unacceptable. It's wild. So Jamila, you know, having to sit there and a guy is doing all the things. He's dating you. He's courting you. He's taking you home. Y'all are meeting each other's family. You're moving in together. And to get on Facebook and see that he just threw a surprise birthday for somebody, and then to find out that person is pregnant, just as pregnant as you are, yo ass need to evolve. Like, there's too many. That's what I'm saying. When I watched this episode, I hated that I could relate so much, that I felt so much, that I know so many girls that have gone through this. And like we're saying, we're doing all this work, but it's like at some point, yeah, these dudes, they got to meet us. I am not a psychic. And I do believe in evolving enough and getting to know yourself enough to align with the right person, because that's like the only way. But like, come on, bro. Like, oh my God, like, we're so tired.
Yeah.
These girls have gone through it.
Gone through it. And it's like, you know, I think we're evolving and we're also surviving at the same time. So I feel like because even just within the episode, you know, all of the women, at least I can't say all, but a lot of them sounded like they've been through some relationship therapy. They have a relationship coach. They were familiar with their own attachment, you know, style and all that. And so they're evolving, but at the same time, that wound and that trauma that they dealt with, it changed the way that they show up now. And so they're kind of like, look, I'm just now doing me. I'm just taking. So it's like, it also became, some of it kind of, I think, changed some of their makeup, where they're like, because we're not quite yet meeting each other in the same space and showing up the same way. I'm evolved, but I've evolved to exist in the way that the world is right now, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like I've evolved. I want a relationship. I want this and I want that, but I'm also going to survive and approach life through this way, where I can still have fun, where I can still have joy, where I'm more focused on me, where I'm taking the trips, I'm, you know, doing all the things, because it basically is like, I'm not going to just not live. And so it becomes like the survival of reality. Does that make sense? Like, I feel
Jamila said it.
Yeah. Like, it's like, you know, that you have these desires and these things that you want, but at the same time, life has happened and, you know, you don't want to go through what you went through anymore. It's not hard to see that there are a lot of men who have not spiritually evolved to put in the type of work. And no, women are not perfect, or, you know, no one's perfect, and it's going to be messy, but there is, I think, collectively so much more effort that women are doing. They are investing in their growth and in their healing. And, you know, it really is on a different level. Like, podcasts are not the only way that men can heal. And a lot of these men right now are showing up in a podcast, and it's like, that is not a substitute for getting in front of a professional, getting in circle behind, you know, outside of the camera, you know, all that stuff. Like, it's not a substitute. It's not a substitute for a book, or, you know, just a lot of other things. And I feel like, especially the men, you know, that these ladies on this episode were partnered with, couldn't possibly, because you ain't got the time. You got a whole other life.
You got so many girls.
You have so much other stuff to do. Like, to live a deceitful life is exhausting. You know what I mean? Like, we all only have 24 hours in a day. And if you are out here, you got a whole other phone. Homeboy had the phone in his shoe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you got to have a whole other phone. This is like, that is exhausting mentally. Like, let's just keep that a buck. It is not. It's not, nobody's out here balling like that. I'm certain, you know, none of these women were with Bill Gates or anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, to even have the resources to be able to, you know, be supporting two women who are pregnant at the same time. Like, come on, this is like, it's stupid. It's stupid. And like,
it's so this isn't about, you know, nothing else, but that's stupid.
It really is. And so,
and you're lying about it.
And you're lying about it. And it just, I don't completely understand it, but I do, you know, still believe and stand by just it collectively as well. There is more that women are really trying to support each other and putting in the work to like move society along.
And as you said that, I'm thinking, and as I remembered homie's comment about standards, and I'm like, maybe that's where the flag was for these women. Maybe they didn't have a certain standard. Maybe they didn't require enough from their men emotionally, that their men had enough left over for a whole nother relationship. Because if you are invested and you have, you know, you have your structure and you have your expectations, which I don't like that people make that a bad thing, you're gonna have requirements, and it's gonna make sure it's gonna be like a workout for him every day. You know what I mean?
Well, because it's just like having a job. I feel like a lot of times we have to correlate this to the workplace. They talking about don't go get 3 work from home jobs. Okay, we know you're at home. We know they can't see you, but you're trying to stay logged in over here, logged in over there, so you can get your check and just be. It's not going to work. Somebody's going to be calling you in for your review for the one-on-one at some point. And so it's that same thing there. When you go get hired at a job, there's standards, there's expectations, there's requirements. You can't come in when you want to. I need you here at 8. You leave at 5. This is lunch. These are the things that need to be done. And it's reciprocal, because I'm also at the job, like, I need to be paid on time. This is what my tax stuff looks. This is what my bonuses are. Like, so expectations and standards are just something that come with being an adult functioning. And I don't think expectations and standards in a relationship are bad either. And maybe if we were making adjustments to them, not to be outlandish, but could that, and I'm saying could it, because I don't have it all figured out either, but could that be something that would help us weed things out just a little faster? If you're not for me, you're not for me. Because the second, you know, let's see, for example, you know, what was it? The guy, you said it, when Stephanie had been with her man for 3 years, and then he was talking about moving in and then pretended to get on a knee and got up and said, psych, I'm not ready. After 3 years, but we've been doing all this.
What are we doing? And like, how long does it take? And then for her, you know, like, then what has to happen in order to like, what is enough for you to not accept that anymore? You know what I mean? Like,
you have to have a standard. You have to be in a place
and
that
I
have an
think she was
expectation
the same
where it's
one
like,
that said she was going along with it.
yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, one of them said like I was going along with it, and we did all these things. So in her mind, they were together. Because I heard a couple of them say it. It's like, well, to me, we were together. We were doing all these things, but they never had a conversation. They never actually like locked it down, locked it in, said, hey, what are we? And defined it with a term. Like, these things seem juvenile, but they're so necessary.
You get a job, I'm the CFO. I handle the finances. I don't clean the toilets. I'm the CFO. I'm not the janitor. The janitor cleans the toilets. They have no business auditing my books. So there has to be some definition, or how do you function? Genuinely. What am I doing when I show up every day if I don't know my role? Whatever it is. It's not like the role has to, but what is the definition though? You have to, you know, define it at some point.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, Keandra, I know you had to go. You gave me a 10-minute marker. Are you at that spot?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys even heard him crying in the background. So I was like, oh, well.
I saw you looking.
Girl.
Yeah. He's at that age where he's loud. When he sees me on this computer, he starts talking with me. So unless we need a fourth guest,
a fourth guest on
the show,
Go ahead, be super mom.
I love
you.
it, beautiful mama. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be able to connect with you. Nice to meet you, Tani. I'm looking forward to future weeks and us being able to keep getting into these conversations. This is such a good show. Yes, more to come.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for everything, Keandra. Love you.
Thank
We'll
you.
text.
Love you too. Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right, Tani. I mean, we have a little bit more. We can almost, wrap it up a little bit, but, I'm with you on that. And, I would like to be able to, it's hard to have these conversations as a woman because it sometimes sounds like we're nagging or we need this or we want this or we're complaining or da-da-da. But then it's just like, fine. Then we say nothing. And then, we're, how do I say? I know so many women were just, like, let me take it back to the show. Like Jamila said, she was pregnant with this man's child. And he was like, he went from a smile, we finna go to Jamaica, to a frown, like, I'm not with you. I'm not doing this. She's feeling discarded. He was dating somebody else at the same time, and she found out on Facebook. And then 4 months down the line, he's calling her like, we're expecting a little one. You calling her mama's house. She left y'all's communal space, went back to her mom's, and now months later you're calling, talking about, I'm excited. We're having a little one. We're this, we're that. And she had to tell him, leave me alone. I want to enjoy my pregnancy. So that's where everybody's at this, not everybody, but some people are just at, well, leave me alone. I want to enjoy my life. Leave me alone. I want to enjoy my pregnancy. Just leave me alone. I want to enjoy my girlfriends. So we don't need to talk about it no more. Just leave me alone. And, and in the midst of us doing our work, I'm always optimistic, and I know you are too, finding that alignment to where we meet up with that right person. But in the meantime, leave me alone with all that. Like, because I'm not going to tell you, there's nothing she could tell him. Some of these guys just ain't it. Like,
especially if he came back like that, right?
And he kept coming back. He came back 2 years later, left the other girl.
I thought you said 4 months for her to have.
So when she was 4 months pregnant, he came back. Then he went to go be with the other pregnant girl. Then when that pregnant girl's daughter turned 2, he came back to Jamila. And she gave him a chance and realized he was the same dude. Then he went to another chick and got married. And now he was back to being a jerk about things. And it's like, well, I'll just see the baby when she's 18. Because he didn't want to pay child support, all this stuff. So, like, whatever all that is,
just unacceptable. That's just not even being a good person.
That's just not a good person.
That's not even man, woman. That's just not even being a good person.
It's not a good person.
How do you make a child with somebody and then behave like that?
But that's why I'm okay with you talking about men evolving. At some point, you can't run around like that. There's too much. I know that there's just too many women going through this. And yes, we need to do our work and avoid these men, but y'all really cool with the way all that, like, that's, yep. Pick 3 dudes. You got 2 homeboys that act like this. Every 3 dude, each one got 2 homeboys that act like this.
If not all 3.
That's too many.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you know what? There are women, and that's why we say align with who is right for you, because there are women out there that are okay with that. You coming and going when you feel like it. You having 9 other baby mamas. How many baby mamas does what's his name? The actor guy that's running around, got 10, 11 kids. He just had
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon. He had 10 during the holidays.
11.
He just had 11 just now. So you're basically having unprotected sex with all these women at the same time. Nobody sees anything wrong with this. And
that's their business. Y'all do that.
But listen, the thing is that those women are okay with that. Pick those women. Don't pick a woman who you know wants a marriage or wants a certain structure of a home. Pick a woman who is okay with you having 9 other baby mamas and somehow thinks that she is going to change you into the man, or you're going to stay, or if you don't change, it doesn't matter to her. Pick her. Pick her. Yeah. And leave the rest of us be to men who want to have one woman and one family. Because Nick said himself, he is exhausted. and he's exhausted because he has 11 kids in 11 households or 9 households or however many households. If your 11 kids was under one roof, sir, it would not be as tiring. It wouldn't be as expensive either. You'd be able
and it's not only that he said it was exhausting. He said that he feels guilty that he can't give them all time.
Yeah, because my mother always says you can't send, if you have kids outside the house, you can't send one slice of bread out the house. But guess what? If you're all in the house and you have one slice of bread, you all can eat.
Everybody
but if
eats.
you have people that you have to now send a loaf. You can't send a slice outside the house. You have to send a loaf outside the house. But if you're in the house and you only have one slice, everybody eats.
Yeah.
And it's less expensive. It's less emotionally draining, like all the things. And now the kids can see daddy. They can have each other as company and as friends. They can now help around the house or do whatever the things are that they're supposed to do. But don't expect that all women are supposed to just, because you're a man and we want the desire of a partnership, we're supposed to just accept it and not hold you to any standard or require anything of you. And then when we talk about the standard, what is the standard? Because Jamie, I don't feel, listen, you and I think we got this pretty much honesty, loyalty, maybe be funny, have a spiritual practice, like a sense of humor. You don't even have to be funny, but if you have a sense of humor, a spiritual practice, you exercise, you may have a good job, be ambitious, maybe adventurous, some fun.
Yeah, nobody said go kill a walrus and drag it back with your bare hands. Like the standard, it should be the standard you have for yourself as a human.
When did I say he needs to show up with a 6-figure income, a house, 4 cars, have this much in it? I never said those were not a part of it. Yeah. It was all character driven. And if that is considered high standard, I'm scared for our future.
Facts.
I'm scared.
I mean, that's my standard for my friends.
Pretty much. And if you make a date, follow through. That might be the most difficult of the standard of them all. If you make a date, follow through, because I'm not going to ask you. You ask me out Thursday at 8. It's Wednesday night. I have yet to hear from you. You're not going to hear from me and say, hey, are we still going out tomorrow? Because if this was a meeting about money or you getting something, your ass would be there.
When you correlate it to money and meetings, and people get it real quick. It's like you would never do that to if somebody called you and they was like, I have the job of your dreams and it starts tomorrow, you gonna check, you're gonna follow up, you're gonna show up on time, you're gonna why does it take doing all the things when there's money on the table? But like
the value is different.
Value. And that's what I'm seeing here in this show. None of these men, not only do they not value themselves or the women that they're with or their children. Yeah, they don't value themselves, because somebody that values themselves, you can't convince me that they just don't have a different standard. I value myself, and there's just certain things I'm not going to do, not because I'm a woman, not because I'm Black, not because I haven't evolved or whatever, but I have a standard about some things. There's certain things I'm not going to do. And it just is what it is. One of these statistics from Relationships in America says that 34% of men reported having had concurrent sexual relationships at least once in their lifetime. And so it just goes back to,
as I thought it would be.
I know 34. Well, that's of what we know, but 34%. So is it just about staying away from those 34%? Is it about that 34% being more transparent? Is it about still what's the navigator? If that's,
I think it's just being more transparent. I think men are really unaware how much they would still get from a woman if they were honest. I really think they underestimate that. I really do. There's so many women that will respect you more if you are honest. There's so many women that will still, because we want things too. We want whatever it is that we want from you, the companionship, the company, whatever it is, we want it too. And if we find it in you and you're like, hey, I'm dealing with something else, you're probably going to be like, I don't like it, but all right, well, what does that look like? Are you going to be ending it soon? And are you serious? Are you going to make, we probably probe a little bit more and then decide from there. But there's so many women who rather that than find out that you lied to them for the last 4, 5, 7 months, 8 years, whatever.
And you're getting letters in the mailbox like Nicole was getting. first of all, how does this chick have my address? And why am I getting letters in the mailbox?
Because she was probably at your house.
And that was another thing that Crystal said. I love the way that when Crystal dug through her man's phone, her husband, let me not even say that. When Crystal dug through her husband's phone and found all these other women, I love that that sister was a sister friend to her and was transparent. Like, I've been in your house. I've been here and then. Like, he got naked pictures. He's doing meetups. And she's been, telling her that she's been at the house, and she's just being clear, like, I would not, like, you need to run. Like, this is not her just being jealous or trying to tell her whatever because she doesn't want, him to deal with her anymore so she can have him. She's being like, no, I've been all up and through yours, and he never said nothing about you. I would run. I've been in this situation before. So I thought that was very forthright, as opposed to being petty and messy and trying to get her man and all this. It's just girls, women, a lot of the times we look out for each other. When we can.
We gonna tell.
Okay, before we get to the lessons learned, Tawny says, it sounds good. I mean, I didn't expect to be this confused by this. I finally hear what I want to hear, and I'm like, huh? The sassy method is working too well. So she's one of my coaching clients, and that's what I teach with my sassy method. Focus on becoming the highest and best and most aligned version of yourself. And I believe, and generally, mostly everything falls into place because you are the receptor of it all. So, but that's a good thing. If it's working well and things are vibrating out of your space, it means it's working the way it's supposed to. And that's okay, because it only means there's something better. And sometimes when we don't want to let go of what we have, it's hard to think there's something better. We get a scarcity or a lack mindset and think we got to hold on to what we have. And she says, I mean, I'm so used to men being trash. I finally hear what I want to hear. And it sounds like, and it's like, should I just enjoy this? Do I have permission to just accept these things? And why am I asking myself this? I really feel like that's only something that you can answer.
I mean, you definitely have the permission. The permission is your own, whether or not you want to accept these things. I always like to think about things on the grand scale and in the long run. So I would encourage you to like magnify this situation. And like, if you do continue to go down this path with him and you guys love each other and you're going to kind of love through the hurt or the pain, and in another year or two, he still feels inadequate, how are you going to feel? Are you going to be okay with that, knowing that you did everything that you could to pour into this relationship, but it just didn't work out and you're okay with just walking away? Or in another year or two, and he says the same thing and he's like, I got to leave because I still don't feel, adequate enough. Are you going to be broken to pieces? Are you going to feel like you wasted your time? Are you, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like weigh your options in a grand scale. And then that will help you like kind of narrow back down to what you should or shouldn't do.
Like, basically you're saying pull back and look at the bigger picture.
Look at the bigger picture in another 2 years, 5 years, whatever, 6 months, 6 more months, to another year. What does that look like? And if things do not continue to go well, how will you feel? Because sometimes it's like, you know what? I love this man so much. I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to go another year with this situation. And hopefully he won't feel inadequate in a year and we can continue on. And if he does feel inadequate in a year, then at least I know I did what I could, but I loved him so much, and I didn't want to let it go. I was willing to see it through, Yeah,
it has to be her own decision, because what you also want to steer away from is doing that. And then when that year time frame that you put on it goes by and he's not doing this and he's not doing that, we can't be mad about that, because he told you from the gate what it was, and you made your own decision to stick around. So it's going to have to be your own accountability to take that on the chin or do whatever you will with it. But I would just say, especially Tawny, because you're growing and enjoying and you're in a transition period yourself, just enjoy the ride and do what you feel with your heart. Don't take things too seriously. And I don't mean not because it's serious, but this is advice I try to give myself. It's not go with the flow, but like keep your intentions, stay true to yourself, which is alignment, and let the chips fall where they may. You don't have to force them. This isn't a conversation. You don't have to overdo anything. You might just do you. If he calls and you want to go eat, then go eat without thinking about, is this going to be my man for life? We don't know, but I'll take a burger. Like, can we just, and when you're focused on yourself, that's exciting enough. There's a lot of things going on. That's kind of like all we got. Like, it needs to be a little bit more loose, in my opinion, because when we do, too much, we start to get stuck. And that stuck feeling and that stuck space doesn't leave room for the magic. You could literally walk outside and somebody who is just super qualified and ready scoop you up. And that just might be okay. It might, like, we just don't know. We don't know enough to be, you're okay. Everything's going to work out for the greater good. This is great news. I'm much more relaxed now. I got this. Thank you. Of course you do. Enjoy yourself. You're amazing. You're doing amazing things. You're in great spaces. Can that be enough? And let everybody else figure it out.
Listen,
right now.
My mantra, Jamie, reason, season, or lifetime. People come into your life for a reason. They come into your life for a season, or they can come into your life or they can come into your life for a lifetime.
And that's okay, because every relationship I've been through taught me something about myself. Exactly. It revealed something I needed to see about myself. I had fun. Mm-hmm. I love to connect with people, but like if I and I'm preaching to myself, if I can work on the positives and stay in that space with the knowing that everything works out for my good. Everything works out for my good. Everything doesn't work out for my ego. Everything doesn't work out for my timeline. Everything works out for my good. So it's all good. And it is what it is. B says, hi, Tawny. And she says, love to Gus. All right. So I guess we could wrap this up because we're kind of here right now, right? With the love lessons. So love lesson number 1 was stand in your truth and be honest with yourself. And Crystal was talking about how she's rediscovering herself. And I think that's beautiful. Are we standing in our truth? Mm-hmm. Or are we doing what we're told and we don't realize we're doing what we're told? Mm-hmm. Are we afraid to rediscover ourselves? Do we know what that means? These are all things we're going to need to do whether we're in a relationship or not. Be honest with yourself. Are we being honest with ourselves? Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. One of the second love lessons was listen to the tiny voice inside you.
The one that always knows.
Always. And to be honest, if it takes certain experiences for me to go through to get to understand what that voice sounds like and to move accordingly, it is what it is.
It's okay.
Because I'd rather have that.
It's okay. And one other thing I've done recently too is like you said, be more relaxed, loosen my grip around my choices. So I might be like, I don't want to talk to him anymore. I'm through. But then in a week, all of that has subsided and now I want to talk to him again. But I already said I'm not going to talk to him again, so I'm not going to talk to him. It's like, maybe, right? Because there's reasons about everything, right? Why are you not going to talk to him again? And why did he disrespect you? Did all those things? Obviously, we know those are no-nos, we walk away. But if it's just a matter of ego showing up or he didn't do something the way I wanted him to do it, blah, 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 then I got to check myself. And then I got to say, okay, well, why, where, how is it worth exploring? And then give yourself the freedom to do that. You can change your mind. It's okay. We don't have to be rigid in our choices, You
can change your mind. Who'da thunk it? We're not trees. We're not fixed. We can do that. Another love lesson is you are responsible for your happiness. And that's a big one. I feel like at some point, every woman, every man, every human needs to learn that. Like, it kind of goes with standing in your truth and being honest with yourself. And when you know who you are, you can always find the joy. We're going to go through things that we don't like, but okay, it shouldn't rob you of your identity or your joy. It's okay to be sad and have moments, but we can't let it take us out because that just means our happiness was predicated on something that wasn't real. And I can't see that
Something
bringing
outside of
in,
self.
yeah, I can't see that bringing in a quality partner if that's how you function. Because somebody who's healthy and quality and of a certain stature that you're looking for, they're not relying on you to make them happy. You're a flawed human. Like what? That's too much responsibility for a
A lot of
person.
responsibility.
Yeah.
You are responsible for yourself always. Even if you married 25 years, still responsible for yourself.
You are. Nobody's a mind reader. Somebody could tap dance and give you money and do all this in front of you. But if whatever is plaguing you is plaguing you, nobody can get to that. That's your work. Everybody. That's everybody's personal work. And the last love lesson, which I loved and don't mind, the tears are part of the journey to make you who you are now, basically. So basically everything that you've been through and everything that you're doing and what you're going through is making you who you are now. But is that beautiful?
What was that last part?
Everything that you went through, all your tears in the journey made you who you are now.
And you said, is that beautiful?
Yeah. I love me. I love who I've become through my trials, through the fire, I love it. I'm more aware and that doesn't stop. I'm 40 years old and I'm still finding out things and being triggered and having to look at myself. You know, in this last situation, I was really able to see more clearly where my anxious attachment style shows up. I want to see that. I can heal, read therapy, but sometimes you only learn what you're going to learn in relationship. And when that thing hits your stuff, hopefully you've healed enough to have enough self-awareness to address it. That's really all you can ask for. And the person's either going to rock with you or you're going to move on and find something better because you became better. Either way is good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I love it here.
Mm-hmm.
After all the tears.
After the inner spiritual showers, I call it the showers for your inside, the tears, they got to come out. Got to not have callus on your organs, callus on your heart, callus on your liver, callus on your kidneys, because, pain gets stored in our bodies in different places, and our muscles and our organs. So Joints. It's important. You got to cry. You got to let it out. You got to shed it. Do something, punch a bag, kick something, whatever it is that you need to do to get it out. But a lot of times we just have to remember that people's issues are their own and they're not a reflection of who we are. And I think as a woman, I've struggled with that for a very long time, especially through dating, like feeling like the rejection or him not seeing me or whatever is because it's me. And you said it earlier, it's not a result of who you are. It's just may just be a misalignment, and that's okay. There is a moment you got to take inventory and self-introspection and say, is there something here for me to learn? And then you have to also, because there's always something to learn, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have to know that you don't have to blame yourself for whatever.
Yeah, because guilt and shame is the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to how you feel. If guilt and shame is what you want to stay at, I'd rather you be angry. Being angry is higher than being guilt and shame. And it messes your vibration up. And the longer you live in that, because you feel like you're not living up to this person, that person, you only taking yourself out the game. And nobody should be able to do that. There was a guy I was talking to, he said something, he was like, oh man, if I mess this up, you're probably not going to date anybody for the next 10 years. I was like, no, the next person I date will probably be my husband. You don't have that power to take me out the game. I'm not giving that power away to anybody. Why would I take myself out? Like we gotta.
But people do that a lot.
They do, but I
talk to guys sometimes and they're talking about their baby mama and the relationship happened 15 years ago. Golly.
That's their business. Do the work, grow, look at it, and keep moving yourself up. That's all. That's the only thing you can do. You can complain or you can grow. I can't help you. I know which one I'm choosing.
Absolutely.
Well, this was so much fun. We begin to our 2 hours. I'm so excited that we got
I'm stressing. I ain't stressing today. It's doesn't mind. I ain't stressing today. What? I ain't stressing today. Hey, it's gonna take me down to mind. I ain't stressing today.
You know,
I think you got it better
in
than
the chair.
You got it better than me. Ah!
Well, I love this, girl. Thanks for rocking with me and showing
Of course.
up. You know, I'll hit you after this. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you love this, like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll always be having these conversations. And amazingly enough, we're going to have a few women from the show. We're going to have some sister circles and some girl chat on some of this stuff. And just keep moving the needle forward. I think it's important we have these conversations from a healthy and loving space, and ain't F dudes and all dudes are this and women need to, it's none of that. It's just like, let's all just be open, real, honest. I try to do the same in my relationships. You might not love everything, but if you want to love me, there's going to be some, you know, we're all doing this together. There's, you know, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, none of us are perfect.
None of us
So,
are perfect. I look
yeah.
perfect, but I'm not.
No, I'm just kidding. Perfect as I can be as an imperfect human. Peace and love is on my mind. I ain't stressing today.
Hey,
I ain't
yes,
stressing
that's
today.
hey. Yes, Tawny.
Good, because you deserve it. You deserve to be in a space of peace and love.
And it's gonna work out, girl. It's
It
always,
is.
like you said, it's always gonna work out. It always does. It never feels like it in the moment. It always feels. But take these times and moments to manifest, because your energy is the highest at this very moment, because you're vibrating, you're feeling all these things, and all the synapses are firing. So this is the perfect time to get into a moment of just visualization, of prayer, of meditation, and then let it be. Like, this is perfect, Tawny. I hope after this call you do that. Take 5 minutes, just center yourself, think about what it is that you want, think about source, and giving you the courage to do what it is that you need to do, him guiding you the way that, you know, wherever you need to go, and then you trusting yourself for, you know, the things that you're feeling, and don't be afraid to use this. There was a meme going around, and the little girl asked, it was a little girl's voice, I guess she was talking to her mom. She said, "What does every woman has that starts with a V and allows her to get what she wants?"
Voice.
It's the voice. All you potty minds out there.
Yeah, you dirty birds.
I sure was like, it can't be the, you know, but yes, your voice. So use it. Use your voice.
Yeah, and one quick nugget I can give you, and something that I'm trying in my own life, especially being that I'm doing group coaching now, I try to make sure that everyone I'm working with knows that it's not about me being above and knowing everything. I'm growing with you, but I'm employing my own strategies to continue the growth in my life. And, you know, it's okay to, like everything that you said, Tawny, yes, and realize that when it comes to the body, we have a lot of stored up energy, thoughts, our subconscious. We've been telling ourselves some of the same stuff, some of us for over 20 years. Think of, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, give yourself some grace. But if you can separate you from your body, you're not your mind, okay? Because who is hearing your mind talk? So you can choose to get involved with it and then let it start affecting your feelings and then go down the road. Or now you have enough self-awareness to hear that going on, and once you feel your stomach feeling weird and you start getting nervous, you can stop it and be like, oh, whoa. That tape that always plays is playing again. Hop on outside yourself and be like, I see that tape, and remove your feelings and your ancient, give your nervous system a rest. Remove yourself from that energy. And eventually, just like working a muscle, it's not going to angst you so hard. And then you can go to thinking a little bit more clearly, because the thing that's running through your mind now is, I'm a wife. My husband's amazing. Money comes to me every day. I travel the world on other people's dime. The second you start thinking about that other stuff, go to your affirmations. Don't attach it to this part, your sacral, when you start feeling all that in here, your heart, your sacral, your solar starts getting tight and uncomfortable, and you're not breathing, your chest breathing. Go to your affirmation, because it's just your mind. It's nothing that you need to figure out. You're not going to be able to figure out. It's your ego. It's fake. You're never going to be able to figure out what's going on. All you can do is align and stick with what you desire and what you know and what you want. And that's it. That's your work. That's your job. Let everything else. And I tell this to myself too. I'm so actively working on that now. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to remain because I don't need it. What kept me safe in one season, I don't need it. I know that.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do about it? I'm going to train my body to relax. Just now seeing this and tuning in. Oh, and we are headed out. But I hope you catch the replay. Yeah. And turn your notifications on because we will be back with more conversation, but this was fun. Thank you guys for tuning in. You got anything else, Tani, before we?
Nope.
All right, you guys, turn your notifications on. Make sure to subscribe, which I know a lot of you are. Share this with a friend if you thought the conversation was great, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy your night. I'm going to go eat. Peace. Wait, let me do this right, though.